Three NBA trades to talk about, man. Three trades before the NBA draft started. The Drew Holiday trade, the CJ McCollum trade, and the Kristaps Porzingis trade. Make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get right into it with Anthony Simons to the Boston Celtics for Drew Holiday. The Celtics also get 2 second-round picks as well. I was extremely surprised when I saw this trade. I think we all knew that Drew Holiday was going to get moved from the Boston Celtics this offseason because they're trying to get or stay under the second apron, especially with Jason Tatum's injury next season. We know they're probably not going to make another championship push. But the reason I was mostly shocked is the guy they got back in return, Anthony Simons. When we think about Boston Celtics guards these last couple of years, we think about defensive-minded guards, really solid defensive players. You want to go all the way back to 2022 or 2023 when Marcus Smart was the Boston Celtics starting point guard? He won Defensive Player of the Year. Then after that, they got Drew Holiday, who was one of the greatest defensive guards in NBA history. Derek White, another insane guard on perimeter defense, and then Jaylen Brown as well. They had probably the best trio of perimeter defenders last season. Now they're getting Anthony Simons, who when you look at his playing time with the Portland Trail Blazers, he was not a good defender. I mean, you can admit he was not a good defender. Maybe that changes when he moves into this new Boston Celtics system. But initially, when I'm saying this trade, the Boston Celtics are getting a pretty bad perimeter defender, and Anthony Simons back for Drew Holiday. But the biggest thing for the Celtics in this trade, obviously, is getting off the Drew Holiday contract, 3 more years of a whole lot of money, and getting a lot younger in Anthony Simons. So not only do the Boston Celtics get cheaper, stay under the second apron, but they also get a lot younger in Anthony Simons, someone who, when Jason Tatum is back, is going to help the Celtics win games. Now, for the Portland Trail Blazers, we do get Drew Holiday. The fact that we have to pay Drew Holiday and Jeremy Grant a whole lot of money for the next 3 years is kind of killing me. Initially, I thought that the Portland Trail Blazers could look to move off of Drew Holiday in this trade, maybe make it a 3-team trade and dump him somewhere else, like maybe the Clippers, maybe the Detroit Pistons, teams that are looking to maybe add another guard, another defensive-minded guard. But maybe they keep him. Maybe they keep Drew Holiday next year. Maybe they play him next to Scoot Henderson. And obviously, you're going to have him. You're going to have Scoot, Denny Avdia, Toumani Camara, Donovan Clingan. That's a solid starting 5 for next season. Defensively, of course, as well. Toumani Camara, Clingan, and Drew Holiday on the same team at the same time. That's going to be fun. But yeah, contract-wise, I'm not so sure why the Portland Trail Blazers did this. Maybe they wanted to get another older guard in the room to help mentor a Scoot Henderson. But yeah, this kind of hurts the Portland Trail Blazers contractually. Do I think this is going to affect where they draft? Not really. Right now, you kind of expect them to go maybe a Ford and a Carter Bryant, maybe a Colin Murray Boyles, a Derek Queen. Maybe they could even take a guard, though, and a Yegor Demon and Kasper Sakujonas. I still expect them to stay with probably drafting one of those forwards I mentioned. Interesting trade, a trade that I did not expect to happen, but I'm going to be excited to see what Anthony Simons could do in a winning system next year in the Boston Celtics. For who I think won this trade, I think it's pretty easily the Boston Celtics. You got a whole lot younger with getting off of Drew Holiday, and you got a whole lot cheaper as well. Yeah, weird trade. Somehow the Celtics also got 2 second-round picks in it as well. Yeah, surprising trade, but Brad Stevens, like usual, does his magic. The next trade we're going to talk about is the New Orleans Pelicans getting Jordan Poole, Saddiq Bey, the 40th overall pick for CJ McCollum, Kelly Olynyk, and a future second-round pick. Again, when I saw this trade, I was like, what is going on? I knew CJ McCollum, like Drew Holiday, was most likely going to get traded this offseason. McCollum was heading into his final year of his contract. If you traded him this offseason, his value was going to be a lot higher than what it would have been if you traded him during the regular season. The trade by itself, though, I don't know if I love. I'm going to start with the New Orleans Pelicans. They do get Saddiq Bey, who could be a solid shooter off the bench for them. Also get the 40th overall pick, which is going to be a nice value asset. And then you get Jordan Poole, which I'm not going to say is just to make the money work, but I don't know if we're going to view Jordan Poole as a long-term guard on this New Orleans Pelicans team. I think this team can still draft guard at pick number 7. Matter of fact, I had them going Jeremiah Fears at pick 7, who I think can be their long-term point guard. But yeah, Jordan Poole kind of feels like just not to get the money work, but to get younger, to maybe get more shooters next to Zion Williamson and Trey Murphy. They're 2 cornerstone stars. It's another really interesting trade, not one I expected to see. But honestly, I don't hate it. I'm not going to say it's a lose-lose situation, but we know Jordan Poole definitely has some more years left on his contract. The Wizards wanted to get off the Jordan Poole contract, and now we're in this situation. I think the Wizards, wow, do I expect the Wizards to keep CJ McCollum? As crazy as it sounds, I think they will keep CJ, getting another older guard into that room to help mentor, maybe a Bub Carrington. CJ McCollum, less years on his contract than Jordan Poole, so we get off of the Poole contract earlier, and probably better guy in the locker room. I'm not saying Jordan Poole is a locker room cancer, but we know CJ McCollum to be a veteran, to help mentor some of these younger guys, like Bub Carrington, like who they taken at pick number 6, and I think will help start to make a foundation of a nice little culture going on down there with the Washington Wizards. We know we got Alex Sarr for the long term. They like Keyshawn George and Bub Carrington. Bilal Coulibaly is a really intriguing prospect as well. I like the way the Washington Wizards are going right now in terms of franchise direction, and I think this trade's just going to help them more for the future. We get off of Jordan Poole's contract, we get more of a veteran guy in the locker room, probably a better player overall in CJ McCollum, and nice little forward off the bench as well, and Kelly Olynyk will help maybe play make, could be a nice backup to Alex Sarr. I really like this trade, honestly, for the Washington Wizards compared to the New Orleans Pelicans. I feel like this is just a trade to, let's get some value for CJ McCollum. Here you go, Wizards. We'll take Jordan Poole back. We'll get the 40th pick back. Don't love this for the Pelicans. I think the Wizards do win this trade. Another weird trade, though. Finally, we're going to have the Kristaps Porzingis trade. In this trade, the Atlanta Hawks got Kristaps Porzingis, second-round pick. The Boston Celtics got Georges Niang in a second-round pick. And the Brooklyn Nets got Terrence Mann in the 22nd overall pick in this year's draft. The Boston Celtics are for sure selling some of their pieces right now. Like I mentioned earlier with the Jrue Holiday trade, they're trying to get under the second apron so they can contend once Jason Tatum returns from injury in 2020. What is that, 2026, 2027? I don't know. He'll probably be out next year, though. Starting off with the team that got the best asset in this trade, the Atlanta Hawks getting Kristaps Porzingis. Honestly, I don't mind this really at all. We know the Eastern Conference is going to be extremely weak next season. Tyrese Halliburton's going to be out for most likely next season. Dame's going to be out for a long period of time next year. Jason Tatum's going to be out for a long period of time, if not all of next season. So the East is going to be open. Could we see a team like the Cavs make a push? Could we see a team like the New York Knicks make a push? Could we even see a team like the Atlanta Hawks who go ahead and get better and get Kristaps Porzingis from the Boston Celtics? Porzingis didn't perform good in the playoffs this year. Definitely was inconsistent, was dealing with a lot of injuries, maybe even a sickness as well. But the Atlanta Hawks are hoping they get their best out of Kristaps Porzingis to probably come in, possibly come off the bench for that team. I don't know if they would start Porzingis over Onyeka Okongwu at this point in their careers. So if Porzingis comes off the bench, he gives you shot blocking, he gives you floor spacing, which is going to be great next to guys like Trae Young with Jalen Johnson. I think this Hawks team got a lot better. Also, the Atlanta Hawks only got rid of Georges Niang in a second-round pick and Terrence Mann for Kristaps Porzingis. Mann, salary filler, he was making way too much money, and we did not have him a part of our long-term plans. Georges Niang, another guy I kind of would just consider as salary filler. Solid shooter, solid plug-and-play guy at maybe that power forward position, but also not someone we had part of our long-term plans. And then a second-round pick, which honestly is probably the biggest asset in this Kristaps Porzingis trade, which, as crazy as it sounds, a second-round pick is the biggest asset. That's what the Celtics got back for Porzingis. Porzingis, floor spacing, shot blocking, going to be their backup big next year for the Atlanta Hawks. This Hawks team is trying to get assets, and they're trying to compete in the Eastern Conference because they just saw what the Indiana Pacers were able to do last year and forced the OKC Thunder, a 68-win team, to a Game 7. And if Halliburton wasn't hurt, who knows? Maybe they win that Game 7. Next up for the Boston Celtics. They get off the Kristaps Porzingis contract. They're trying to get under the second apron. They're selling their bigger contracts like Porzingis, like Jrue Holiday. Maybe we're even going to see a Derek White trade in the next couple of days. I don't love what they got back for Porzingis, but I think at this point, a lot of people consider Porzingis to be a negative asset. He was terrible during the 2025 playoffs. He looked sick. He looked slow. He looked hurt. His shot was just not falling. Wasn't a good defender. We know him to be a nice shot blocker, could even switch onto the perimeter as well. Just did not look like the Kristaps Porzingis of old, which sucked to see. But with his contract, it was very apparent that the Celtics need to get off of that, especially if they wanted to compete in 2027 with Jason Tatum being back. Georges Niang coming back, I guess that's what we're going to have to get. And then a second round pick, like I said, somehow, some way, that's the best asset the Celtics got back in the Kristaps Porzingis trade. So I don't hate the trade for the Celtics. It was a trade they had to do. I guess a lot of people might be underwhelmed by the package they got back, but Porzingis was not a high value player. Next, the Brooklyn Nets, Terrence Mann and the 22nd overall pick. They got the 22nd overall pick for taking on the Terrence Mann contract, because at this point, that is for sure a negative contract. I'm assuming they threw, either they threw in a second round pick to one of the Celtics or the Atlanta Hawks. But honestly, picking up the 22nd overall pick just for taking on that Terrence Mann contract, that's a win of a trade. The Brooklyn Nets are not a team that's looking to compete, so taking on the Terrence Mann contract isn't the end of the world. They're not going to sign a max contract this offseason. They're going to have that Terrence Mann contract for the next couple of years. Hopefully, at some point, they're able to get off of that, start when they want to start to compete. But right now, it's a team that's going to start to rebuild, that doesn't need a big contract, a big name player. So take on Terrence Mann's $16 million and also get the 22nd overall pick. Who knows? That could be a good trade. The Brooklyn Nets also now have 5 first-round picks in this year's draft, 8, 19, 26, and 27. I highly doubt they use all 5 of those picks. I want them to try to package some, maybe get up to 3 to Philadelphia to take in Ace Bailey. Maybe they get back up into the lottery by maybe moving 19, 26, and 27. But either way, I don't think they're going to take all 5 of these first-round picks. I think at most they're going to take 3. I don't really see them taking 4 guys, though. So, really good trade for the Brooklyn Nets, getting the 22nd overall pick just by taking on that Terrence Mann contract. I also really like this trade for the Atlanta Hawks. We're picking up a win-now guy in Kristaps Porzingis to help us compete in a weaker Eastern Conference. And then for the Celtics, I don't hate the trade. It's what we had to get back. Porzingis, negative asset, honestly, which sucks to say, but at least we got a second-round pick back for him, so we'll take it. Yeah, those are the 3 trades I'm going to talk about. Hope you guys enjoy. Make sure to like and subscribe. Looking forward to the NBA drafts this evening. Also, make sure to look at my final 2025 NBA mock draft, see how much picks I get right, and yeah, see you guys next time. Peace.